Pre-season has been full of positives for Celtic, but as we're on the verge of the real season, could a negative about to be hit those green shores as Rio Hatate could be going to Leicester City, welcome back to Fog football. It would be a pretty big move. He was once linked with Leicester, that's when they were in the Championship, but now they're in the big dog league. The Foxes broke into the heads.
Never mind a fox, I thought you were a cow there when you went for move.
Move, aye, well, aye. We like milk. Does Rio Hatate like milk like Kurt Angle? He's aiming for gold, like the Scottish Premiership title. Will it be 4 in a row? Premiership predictions, I'm going to guess on Thursday when all the European actions died down. I mean, he's pretty much guaranteed a few trophies this season. Say he goes to Leicester, it'll be the wooden spoon. I think they'll go straight back down. I don't really rate Leicester. I think they were good, but I think the Premier League's in such a state where if you go down and you lose the Premier League money, even though there's parachute payments, I don't rate Steve Cooper either. Also in looks, don't rate him as a manager, and his looks are pretty bad as well. So yeah, Rio Hatate, let's talk about it. Big money move. How much could they get? Matt O'Reilly, eat your heart out. 25 million. Is this guy worth more than Matt O'Reilly?
No, that's the short answer is no.
Once upon a time, though, you said Hatate was the best player in the league. What's happened since then? Has Matt O'Reilly produced great numbers at Hatate? I thought Hatate was pretty poor last season. Yes, injuries, and he did score a few crucial goals when he came back, but I think his stature dropped just due to the injuries, and Matt O'Reilly took that mantle and ran away with it.
I mean, I would go as far as saying I think O'Reilly in his first, Hatate in his first 18 months was better than both McGregor and O'Reilly. I think that, but yeah, last season wasn't great for him. We'll see how this season goes, but I mean, right now, there's no doubt that O'Reilly goes for more money. I mean, he's the better player, he's got better form, he's younger, scores more goals, gets more assists. I mean, yeah, Celtic have a good midfield right now, there's no doubt about that, but out of the three, there is no mistake that O'Reilly is the most valuable asset that Celtic have. But that's not to say that Celtic can't get decent money for Hatate. I still think Hatate has impressed at Celtic. I think he's been a good player for Celtic, and I believe that Hatate should be going for double figures. But then, I mean, you look at Napoli offering Brighton 8 million for Billy Gilmore, and then you're thinking, well, yeah, you know, it depends. Just because someone else lowballed someone doesn't mean that everyone should get lowballed. But I think in the current market that we're in, it's very hard to judge what a player's worth, because you see some like good players going cheap, and then you see some fucking absolute nobodies getting bought for like 50, 60 million. You know, it's insane. What do I think Hatate's worth? I'd probably say around the 12 to 14 million pound range. I'd say somewhere in there.
Yeah, obviously a bit older than O'Reilly, but the Parkhead Club also kicked out an approach for Hatate from Senate earlier this month, and I think that's a key thing to look at. Could Senate afford Hatate? I mean, the Russian clubs, we know what's going on in Russia, sanctions, so the Russian league is not as good as it once was, but they're still splashing the cash. There's still quite a good few players that play in Russia, but realistically, I think if Senate came in with an approach for Hatate, that tells me it's not an insane amount of money. Celtic thrown it out straight away. Is that because they wouldn't want to sell to a club that's from Russia? Potentially. I would probably agree with that valuation. It's weird though, but a year ago I'd say Hatate was probably valued about 20, 25 million.
Why would Celtic care about where the money's coming from? If they wanted the money, why would they care if it was Russian money?
You know, the whole West portrayal of Russia. I mean, I don't think Celtic would be selling to an Israeli club either. I think that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, money's money, and I would take off anybody.
Would you, aye?
Aye.
Anyway, alright, speaking after Leicester's 1-0 defeat to Palermo in Chesterfield on Friday, Steve Cooper turned round and said, we need players in as quickly as possible, we're trusting each other to get the right ones in, and hopefully sooner rather than later. Now, of course, that doesn't really necessarily specify Hatate, but they're also linked with Ben Doak, so we can talk about Ben Doak as well. Obviously, got called up to the Euros, well, he was in the provisional squad, then he got injured. Could Ben Doak move to Scotland, or do you think the fact that he's linked with a move to the Premier League kind of writes that one right off?
Could Ben Doak move to Scotland? I mean, why not? I mean, I guess he could. Realistically, he would get game time more in Scotland than he would England, depending on what club he goes to. So, I mean, it is possible. But I think once you get a taste of that English money, then you want to keep it. It's very rare that a player will make the move down south and then come back up to Scotland until their career is dwindling out. We hear that Kieran Tierney would love to return to Celtic one day, and I think he will, okay, but it won't be anytime soon. We're probably about maybe 8 years away before we see a Kieran Tierney return to Celtic. You look at Andy Robertson, he says he'd love to play for Celtic one day, and that might be fine, but while he is good enough to play for Liverpool or good enough to play for a Premier League club near the top, and if he can earn, you know, a couple $100,000 or whatever in the Premier League, he's not going to just decide to go to Celtic next season. So, yeah, you can leave England and go to Scotland, but it depends on what part of your career that you're at. No one who's good and in their prime is, unfortunately, no one's leaving England to come to Scotland. Just the way it is.
Unless you're the biggest fan of a club and you just want to play for them and you don't care about money.
That doesn't happen. Billy Gilmour was a big Rangers fan. He fucking jobbed them out straight away.
Hold on, he jobbed them out. Rangers jobbed him out.
But no, he could have stayed.
He could have stayed, but Rangers jobbed him out.
No, he could have stayed.
No, he could have, but I think it was more Rangers jobbed Gilmour out.
Nah, how many times have we seen young players just leave? I mean, even Celtic had a few academy players in the last year leave.
Right, so Hatate is under contract 2028. Now, according to the Daily Mail, I don't know if we're allowed to take them as a source due to some comments, but anyway, any prospect of the Japanese playmaker leaving in the current window would effectively evaporate with the sale of Celtic midfielder teammate Matt O'Reilly.
I agree with that.
I'm going to disagree.
Right, so you think Celtic can...
You said money's money.
I know it is, but do they really want to lose both Hatate and O'Reilly in the same window?
No, of course they don't. Well, I mean, the way I look at it is the league's pretty much wrapped up. It's got green ribbons on it from last season. May as well keep them on it. You trying to tell me if they sold Hatate and O'Reilly, they still wouldn't win the league?
Their chances would go down.
Of course, their chances would go down, but I think if they sold one of them,
and it would weaken them significantly. You're going into this new Champions League. Some people believe in Celtic can do something. 8 extra games. You want to keep. Ideally, you want to keep both, but there's no way Celtic will sell both of them. Like, they might lose one, but they won't lose both.
No, I think if the money was right, they would sell both. I strongly believe that. Like, I think if a club comes in and bids like 28 million for O'Reilly and someone bids 15 for Hatate, they're not going to reject that. I don't think they would.
Well, maybe next season the Celtic midfield will be McGregor, Awata, and Bernardo then.
Which I still think would be more than good enough to beat Rangers, which is a sad state of affairs for them. But anyway, till next time, guys. That's it. Rio Hatate to Leicester. Will it happen? We'll have to wait and see.
Pretty much all these Celtic players have been linked to moves away. And I'm pretty sure Hatate's been linked moves before, and I mean, we've not got a price fee here, but I'm pretty sure he's been linked with 15-20 million pound moves away.
No, he has. Yeah, he's been linked to Brighton before, he's been linked to Leicester. Will this one come to fruition? It's probably just another bogus article. Till there's an actual bid, like we've seen with O'Reilly and Atalanta and Southampton, there's not really too much to say on it. But here, if they want to get him, they'll need to hurry up, guys. But anyway, till next time, peace.